Barrels, baskets and boxes. When the men went to sea to catch fish, other people worked on shore to help them catch, land and sell the fish. Along with the important job of making and mending nets, barrels, baskets and box making were very necessary trades, which had to be developed over hundreds of years. Barrels were made in three types, depending on what was to be put in them. A dry barrel was made to carry dry goods, like flour. A dry tight barrel was made to keep moisture out, and a tight barrel was made to keep liquids in. These tight barrels were essential to the herring fishing industry in order to export fish to other countries. The barrels had to be watertight, otherwise the brine used to pickle the herons would leak out. In one year, 1913, 1 million barrels were made. A barrel could hold about a crown of herring, which was about 1,000 herring. The barrel maker was called a cooper, and in the 1920s and 30s you learnt your trade by being apprenticed to a foreman cooper for 4 years. Starting pay was 4 old shillings, that's 20p to you, a week, rising to 8 shillings in the 4th year. It was hard work. You'd be expected to make around 70 to 75 barrels a week. The timber sections, the staves of the barrels, were bent into shape and made of spruce, and that came all the way from Sweden. They were 80mm long and about 15mm thick. The barrels were held together with hoops made of iron. The cooper had a range of tools to make the barrels, especially an adze, which is a special shaped bladed hammer for cutting and shaping wood. A cooper's driver used to hammer the iron hoops around the staves, and a flagon iron used to repair the barrels. The foreman cooper would inspect the barrels. If there was a leak, the hoop would have to be released with a flagon iron. A length of steeped rush was put between the staves, and then the hoop replaced to squeeze and tighten the staves together again. Basket making. Basket making has been a worldwide craft for thousands of years, ever since people needed to gather and store foods and materials, and even make cradles for babies. The use of baskets in the fishing industry on board and ashore has been around for hundreds of years. Baskets went to sea on the smacks and trawlers, where the fish would be gutted and the baskets used to store the cod livers. Baskets were used to unload the fish onto the dockside and also to display them in the markets. Baskets were made from willow, and although some of the best came from Somerset, in East Anglia people worked the land around river marshes planting willow for local basket making. The willow had to be soaked for days in big vats of water to make them pliable enough to bend. The basket makers worked in cold and wet conditions. They'd learnt to be an apprentice for 3 or 4 years, and the starting wage were 5 shillings, that's 25p, raising to £1 a year at year 4. A good basket maker could make about 25 swills and 6 or 7 quarter crowns a day. The two main types of baskets were the quarter crown and the swill. The crown baskets were also made of willow, came in 3 sizes, and were used to measure the number and weight of the herons being sold. The smallest crown basket, that was the 8th crown. This basket was often used to take a sample of the best herons to the market, so the auctioneer could judge the quality of the catch and put a price on them. The quarter crown was the workhorse basket, used to take the catch out of the hold onto the dockside, and then it'd be loaded onto swills ready to be transported to the fish houses. A quarter crown was measured as holding around 200 herons. The swill. Swill making is a very old craft found all over Britain. The shape of the swill depended on where in the country it was made and the intended purpose. Here you see an example of the Lowestoft and Yarmouth herring swill. The special shape of the local swill was to enable 2 people to carry him, full of herring, up the narrow scores and rows to the fish houses to be processed and smoked. Boxes. Now, box making was another important trade for the fishing industry, which created jobs with large amounts of timber being shipped to Lowestoft for all kinds of boxes for the herring and trawler fleets. Thousands of boxes for the home fishing period were made up by hand using 2-inch nails. They were stacked in huge piles in various places all over town waiting to be sent to the docks, because when the fish came ashore and the merchants wanted the boxes, they wanted them there and then, no waiting around. The herring and other fish would be quickly packed and sent all over the country by rail and road.